Hello, everybody. Welcome to Knights of the Round Table. I'm Luca, and this is TJ.
Hello, everyone.
And for tonight's edition, we are reviewing Society.
Hmm?
Society is a body horror about an ordinary teen named Billy, who finds out that his mom, dad, and sister are part of an orgy cult for the social elite. So, TJ, what is your history of this film?
What is my history? I heard of I heard of it beforehand. I've yeah, when I've watched a few YouTube videos and such on the subject of body horror and movies from horror from the 80s, and I've looked at fruit films, and I've looked at films of that time and space as well. As for why I chose this one, recently I watched another movie called Videodrome, which is again from that era of body horror from the 80s. I chose this movie because I want to see something new. And this thing came to mind. So, what did you think of this movie?
I think it's a gross and terrifying film. The
Yeah.
makeup and special effects really put emphasis on the film's sexual themes, and I think in some areas it's similar to a bunch of well known body horrors, i.e., Eraserhead, Alien, Slither, The Thing, Clown, The Human Centipede, and more.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely a very interesting film. I guess do you feel so first off, do you feel it works as a horror movie?
Of course,
Yeah, how so?
the makeup is really scary, and like the scenes where
Mhm.
Bill comes across these dead bodies, or fake dead bodies, came off as frightening and suspenseful.
Yeah.
And
And
the whole
the
movie is Billy freaking out, having these visions, and we see Milo suffer along with him.
this feels very yeah, I think it works too. The movie it feels very nightmarish, very it almost feels like a Cronenberg film. I was surprised to see that David Cronenberg, who did The Fly and Society, didn't work on this film, but it does have a very similar to David Cronen. It's different in many ways, but similar to a David Cronenberg film. The pacing and atmosphere of this film feel very nightmarish, and I don't mean that like to say it's scary. I mean it feels like a dream at points where you're not sure what's real. Things change constantly. Yeah, there's not really clear space of time, and this experience feels very disorienting. I also love how this movie, like, it feels so paranoid, and it successfully communicates Billy's like uncertainty and fear throughout the film, and just yeah, and it gets you engaged in how he is essentially smoke screened and taken advantage of by the society.
Hmm.
So yeah, I feel it's a very effective horror movie.
What do you think of the characters?
I think they're fine. Billy is a fine main character. He's nothing to stand, nothing to nothing to stand out about him. Although his actor, who I realize I did not write down, Bill,
Billy Whitney.
Whitney. Yeah, that's weird. Oh, that's weird. Billy Whitney. I feel he does a good job. I feel that he does a good job conveying his stress. Also like Will what's his name, Wilbur, like his friend
Milo.
Milo. Thank you. Also like Milo. I feel he's a very good supporting character and a very good straight man. Uh, he does a good job contrasting Billy's paranoia. Acts as a good audience surrogate.
I think the characters are decent. I
Hmm?
think Billy is a great protagonist of the film. I like how his psychedelic visions build up to the villains of the film,
Hmm.
and I think Milo is a good supporting character.
Yeah.
His his love Billy's love interest towards the ending of the film. She she serves as a helpful character, and seems to really like Billy back.
Yeah, I feel like I didn't. Her name, I forget her name.
Clarissa.
Clarissa. I feel Clarissa. She's good. I don't feel she. I feel like she could have be a little more in depth. Also, kind of like how she is like sort of a contrast to the rest of the upper class. I almost wish they did that a little bit more and explored how that system works and if others are dissenting and all that. But I feel yeah, but I feel like this film explores how they work well enough. It's awesome. I didn't really like her mother though. So this movie, it's very cartoonish at parts, kind of silly. And
Yeah, I
some
agree.
yeah, which works at yeah, which is a little which I didn't like too much. There's some scenes where it works. I especially near the end where it does help the surreal atmosphere. But in other instances, it doesn't really jive with the rest of the movie, especially with Miss especially with Miss Caroline, who is a very weird who is I guess supposed to be comedy relief. I don't know what the intention her behind her like character is, but I don't know what they wanted her to be, but she didn't. She just felt very out of place in this movie.
The film doesn't really specify why she acts the way she does. Like
Yeah,
they just it feels like they just want to add something silly into the film.
yeah, yeah, basically. Did they kill her at the end? I think they killed her, or
I don't think
something.
so. No,
I don't know what happened to her then.
I think she just stays with the different species of people.
Yeah, the society.
Anyway, I think like some scenes in the film were uneventful. They feel like bland. They contrast greatly with the scary scenes where people are like doing things.
Yeah, but it does a good but that also does a good job. That does a good job building up to the suspense and the surrealer and the weirder nature. If you didn't have the more boring scenes, like it wouldn't feel as impactful or grounded. So, what scenes are you talking about? Like the beach?
The beach scenes, the scenes where like Billy is at school,
Yeah,
where he's just talking to people.
yeah. I feel those scenes like at school, the beach. Yeah, even later on. I feel those are good. They help.
Mm-hmm.
I feel those are good. They do a good job contrasting it. So, anything else before we get to spoilers?
No, let's hit the spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers. So Billy, so so for all those who haven't seen Bill, so all those who are still here, Billy's parents and sister, and frankly all of his friends are a bunch of weird amorphous monsters who, as Lucas said earlier, have giant orgies and absorb people into their mass.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was that was weird.
Uh-huh.
That climax of the movie, that is crazy. What what do you think of the film's commentary about class? How do you feel it handled that?
Like the school debates.
No, like how it is commenting on the rich, the upper class, and how they in are inhuman and use the people below them and think of them as subhuman. How did you feel about that? How did you feel with those aspects of the movie?
I feel they were bizarre and well executed.
Yeah, and you're talking about the commentary.
Yep.
Okay, I felt yeah, it is very blunt. It is not a subtle movie, which I
What
feel
does blunts mean?
blunt. It's blunt.
Oh,
That was
not
a
blunts. Blunt. Okay.
that was a stutter. My bad. But it feels, but I feel it. But I feel it works. It is. nothing too like it's nothing too insane. It's just saying how people in power are usually use their power to abuse the people below them, and
Yeah.
how they may think of themselves as again a different species. But it works. It is a message, but it works even if it isn't too unique in its messaging. But those practical. But going back to the practical effects, these are some of the weirdest practical effects I've seen in the movie. Like just what they show. Like I knew they were there when I started, but I didn't know they would be. But like at the end, it's just so surreal.
The ending where Billy takes on Ted, OMG, what an epic fight it was.
Yeah,
Like, hey, we see Billy getting pummeled, and then all of a sudden at the end, he comes out victorious. Like, he defeats him in the weirdest way imaginable.
yeah. Do we even want to spoil that?
No, we don't have to say it.
Yeah, I don't feel. Yeah, there I do think the more comical. Again, as I alluded to earlier, some of the more comical elements do do work a little better later on, and that's a good example of it, where the fight between his fight between Milo. But yeah, what do you think of the practical effects?
I think they're some of the creepiest effects in used in horror movies.
Yeah,
Like they really go all out on them.
yeah,
They really want them to appear creepy.
they are. Yeah, the whole scene. Yeah, I feel they. Well, first off, I feel they are very well done. They're the whole scene lit lit and shot in a way that it does feel very, even if it isn't like perfect, it does feel like these people are shift, shifting and stretching and and combining together in a way that, yeah, and it does, and it does really work. And also just the whole atmosphere of that final scene is just in is just it's just great. I just sort of seeing these locations we've seen before, like twisted under red lights, and all these creepy but also comical creatures like like appear. It feels very well done. Again, it feels very nightmare. Yeah, and again, it just feels like a nightmare. Yeah, what did you think of the yeah what did you think of the very end?
It could have been done better.
Yeah, it's
Like it's
very
just Billy and his friends riding out of town. Like it's nothing too exciting.
no, yeah, it is very abrupt though. Like it is that is a very bold move on the filmmakers, where he
Like it,
really they've really the society, it's not punished.
yeah,
They're
right.
still out there in the film,
Like
which is very
the last scene we see is just Billy and his friends riding off in a jeep, and the
yeah,
alien species is still there watching.
yeah.
Like
Well,
nothing
they're
happens
not.
to them.
Well, they're not alien. Well, they're not aliens. They establish that they are some sort of mute, some sort of mutant a subset of humans. I'm assuming they made that very clear. They did mention that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a very, it is super abrupt. But I think that, again, I think it does work in that sort of dream like, in the in that dream sort of way.
Hmm.
And it does, yeah. So that's the end. Would you recommend this movie?
I give it a light recommendation. If you want to freak yourself out, I'd recommend watching this film. If you're interested in special effects used in horror films, you should totally check out this film. And I would not recommend it for people who don't like horror films, or gross out horrors in particular.
I've give this thing a decent recommendation. If you're looking for some good body horror, and to see some bizarre effects. This is a pretty good film. It might seem a little slow near the beginning. You do have to wait for the fireworks show, but I feel it does. It is worth it. I'll just say it. It is worth getting through the first 2/3 of the film. I know it. Yeah, on a recommendation scale, I'd give it a 7.
I give it a 6.5.
All right, so Luca, what do you have for next week?
Donnie Darko.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time, Luca, and I'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Thank you for joining me.